Triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for Freedom. Hello, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo5 Radio. Glad that you can join me again. It's Wednesday. Holy cow, I'm losing track of time. It is Wednesday, and you know what happens on Wednesday. It's me, and I'm having Cindy Grosz on here. So we're going to do some pre-election. This is Decision 2020 pre-election analysis with Cindy Grosz. We're going to talk about the big scale, local scale, everything that we're going to be talking about. Election corruption, fraud, you name it. We're going to be talking about that. But before we go anywhere, again, my name is Watson Prunier. My website is www.battle4freedom.com. I also want you to go to mojo50.com and start your day off right. We're going to do this with some, we're going to do some American Pride Roasters coffee. There's a special going on this month, and I want you to understand what it is. Let me show you a pretty nice little graphic of American Pride Roasters coffee and give you some... Did you hear that sound? That was the factory of American Pride Roasters closing from August 24th to September 14th. Don't freak out. APR Coffee isn't going anywhere. They're doing their annual factory shutdown to reorganize, restock, and clean. You can still order from them, but your favorite coffee won't ship until September 16th, around that time. During the shutdown, they are offering the Brad's Brown Bag Blend. It's a combination of the best brown beans from Africa, Eurasia, and the Americas. Brad's Brown Bag is an unforgettably tasty blend. In order to get this new blend, just go to mojo50 and click the donate button at the top. Donate at least $25 per bag. That's a nice round number. And you will also get a free 8-ounce bag of coffee for every additional 2 pounds you order at AmericanPrideRoasters.com during their factory shutdown. Please, take advantage of this limited time offer while you can. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Yes, AmericanPrideRoasters.com. We want to start the day off the right way if we're going to talk about any of our sponsors. And also, I want you to be focused for everything. You know, Cindy brings data, okay? Cindy brings data, so I want you to understand that you can hear and process what she's going to share with you. And so we're going to do a little New Life Holistic. And does it seem like your mind often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have ever experienced before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic. Call them today. Yes, call them today and let them know that you want to stay focused. So let's do this. Without a further doubt, I know you've been waiting for her. You're like, Watson, shut up and please bring on Cindy. We don't want to hear you anymore. We are here to hear Cindy. I know. I'm appreciating the love. Cindy, how are you doing today?
Well, welcome back from vacation, and in typical form, I overslept. So you get me very casual.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Hey, you know what? Casual Cindy, dressed up Cindy. Everybody wants ready to go Cindy, all right? And so they are.
That we are.
And we're going to appreciate everything that we're going to be bringing. So the RNC is going on right now. Have you had a chance to watch any of it, Cindy?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what are your thoughts so far as you've watched the RNC?
I am most impressed by the names that people don't know, the speeches that are coming from the everyday people that are telling personal stories.
Nice.
The Republican accomplishment that you don't often hear about.
And that's what we need to hear.
We expect great speeches from Nikki Haley and Tim Scott. Nicholas Sandman was amazing last night. But it's the other stories about saving small businesses, about relating to total strangers in crisis. That touched the heart, and it talks about hope and future. It wasn't angry people screaming, and it was not all about the sex of a person or, a gender or a race. It was about working together for America first.
Very true. And we need that. We need that kind of mentality of an America first, seeing every average Joe and Jane, John Doe, Jane Doe, who's out there. And you're right, because the fact, I found it really hilarious, Cindy, earlier in the week, the Democrats decided that they wanted to call it the Republican National Chaos. But everyone knows from the DNC and what they did last week, it was constant barraging, negativity. That's all. Nothing. They never offered hope. They never offered, how do you help that person? They're just saying, there are people who are suffering, but you don't have real people talking about their problems. Look at how America has been disintegrating under Democrat leadership. So I think, as much as they want to kind of control everything and rig the election with mail-in balloting, I think it's going to be very interesting that they want to control this election, and there's no way to deny the steam that Donald Trump has gained as a result of his leadership. And the individuals are not prepared for what's going to happen. What's your feeling on just on the aspect of Donald Trump and going on here?
Well, I see another story from behind the scenes, and working as I have been with Republican candidates on local, state, and national level. We have an issue of the rhinos who do not want Donald Trump in. They don't want him to succeed. And with that, it becomes a whole different issue. We expect the Democrats to be against us, but we don't expect Republicans. And that's a bigger issue in regards to winning the election. Because as my analysis is, yes, we have the solid majority who will vote in Donald Trump as president, but they don't see a lot of wins and a lot of feeling towards real leadership in the Senate and in the House. So my prediction would be is that President Trump will win, but there's a strong possibility that we're going to lose more seats in the House, and we're going to lose the Senate majority. And then with that, we will have 2 years of impeachment hearings, and it won't be just President Trump. It's going to be chaos attacking Mike Pence and its Attorney General Barr.
So, you're sitting here talking about the probability of us losing more seats in the House and maybe not even having the Senate a majority. So one of the things that we know this can happen with mail-in balloting, election fraud that's going on here. But it also sounds like this could be a major challenge because of the fact that there are a lot of, like you said, Romney, Rhino Republicans who are anti-Trump. One of the ones I want to see here is here it is. I want to share with the guy that you ran against in the primaries, and that is Tooman. Share a graphic from him here. So, talk about the role that a person like Tooman might play in this.
Well, he's not going to play any role because he's not going to win, and he's getting no traction since he won the primary. But all of a sudden, last week, my friends called me that I was suddenly in an article in a local paper that he actually paid over $2,000 for an endorsement, which goes talking about fake news and where you can trust and you can't. But his staff member wrote, Doug is not a never Trumper, nor is he an always Trumper. He considers himself as sometimes Trump. We heard that from Mitt Romney when he wanted an endorsement from President Trump and when he wanted a job from President Trump in the cabinet. Can you imagine if Mitt Romney was Secretary of State with his hate and vengeance of President Trump?
It wouldn't.
I'll give you another New York race. During the Democratic convention, Susan Molinari, a former congresswoman who's now a lobbyist for at least a decade, maybe more, her father was the leading Republican voice of Staten Island. One of the most watched races in New York is the race between Max Rose and Nicole Malliotakis. By Susan Molinari going on the Democratic convention speaking and endorsing Biden, it has weakened Staten Island tremendously.
So, with that, and the idea that people are, we can't trust what they're going to be doing, Cindy, here in terms of when it comes to this election time. The conviction that we need them to have in terms of supporting the President of the United States of America. It seems like there's going to be a lot of problems that we're going to be facing here. Losing potentially more seats. We're going to be, we can't trust the people who are in office right now, who, like you said, they are puppets, they're talking heads. You saw last week where Jeff Flake and 20 other former Republicans are doing a Republicans for Biden side of this and turning around and deciding that they want to support the opposition. And again, it's not on an issue of moral principles. It's generally speaking from the side that actually it is moral principles. They're afraid of being exposed by Donald Trump and the status quo mentality that they've had and how they want to be party people rather than for the people. Rather than being for the people. So this is going to be interesting as we sit there watching these things take place. I'm very concerned. Do you, at this stage, you're in New York, okay, Cindy? They're saying now, I saw an article the other day that said, for the first time in a long time, the numbers of people being infected are dropping, and everything is, it's almost like they're doing like this unicorns and rainbows and unicorns are going on in New York. Is this a reality that's taking place? Because New York really isn't so much front center as it was before because it's being distracted by Seattle and Portland and Chicago. New York isn't, in the limelight as it was before. Is New York calming down? Is New York getting better? Or are the disastrous bail bond reform still making things a nightmare for New Yorkers?
COVID is not the disease killing New York. It is de Blasio, Cuomo, the progressive State Assembly and State Senate in Albany. Real estate has dropped tremendously in Manhattan. There is a restaurant crisis, a business crisis. I just wrote on Israel National News a big article affecting the Jewish holidays and safety. Will Jews be able to attend synagogues, even with the social distancing guidelines, with the violence and rioting that is going on, and it's all tied to the poor leadership, the defunding police, and the people escaping the blue states with this poor leadership, because it's happening in LA, Michigan Avenue, in Chicago, and all across the country.
Yes, I saw an article where they were basically saying that the reason why people are fleeing New York is because it's COVID that's affecting the economy in New York more so than it is the number of Americans the number of New Yorkers who are finally leaving because of the fact that they're tired of the high tax, they're tired of the crime. I mean, seriously, you're talking about areas in New York, you're talking about high-rise apartments, you're talking about affluent areas in New York that are now ghost towns because you have bums on the street. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it that way. You just have a lot of homeless individuals who are now taking up residence, even here in Indianapolis. Even here in Indianapolis, Cindy, is getting that bad that the homeless feel so comfortable to just defecate in the street. They're daily washing the streets. I mean, you'd never hear. I mean, this is hearing homeless people defecate on the streets here in Indianapolis, Cindy, is such a foreign idea for me because I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, so when I was working in Manhattan, I was working for an accounting firm on Madison Avenue, 48th, 49th Street. And I remember on a Saturday, I went to go pay my electric bill. And, you go over this 42nd Street, over there near Grand Central Station, there was a little bodega that I can go in and I could pay my bills. But when I got there, it was on a Saturday afternoon, it was closed. I didn't realize that they weren't open. So I'm like, okay, I'll walk back. And as I'm walking back from the bodega and I'm heading right back to the office, I see this couple. They're standing there behind this. It's an old-fashioned car on the street, and they're just watching me, waiting for me to walk by. And as soon as I got about 15 feet past the car, all of a sudden I hear whoosh. And so I turn around, and sure enough, the woman had popped a squat to pretty much let it all out behind the car out there in the middle of the street.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
What?
And so I was like, New York. I was like, New York. But, to hear and know that the big, beautiful city is starting to look like that everywhere, and no one feels comfortable living there anymore. Like you said, the poor leadership. Who was it? Jerry Seinfeld. Did you hear what he said? That he's saying that the people who are leaving New York because they feel that it's not safe and New York is becoming such a terrible place. He's telling people, get a grip. He's saying, get a grip, people. It's not that bad. New York will bounce back.
Well, you know what? Jerry Seinfeld also has other homes and protection. And he doesn't have to go shopping. He can have everything delivered. And what's happening is the rich are leaving and the poor who can't leave are stuck. The international businesses that were buying the multi-million-dollar apartments and office space and were dining in the luxury restaurants aren't going to invest in New York.
They're not going to invest in New York because of the fact that New York has now become a wasteland because of the poor leadership. The only good possibility that could happen in New York is that most Democrat voters will truly write in a Republican voter, even if they don't have any confidence in them. Everyone except Tooman, because we can't trust Tooman. Everybody, please write in.
Well, there's a bunch of others also.
Please write in Cindy Grosz's name instead of Tooman. Please.
I'm not running. I feel very lucky during the cycle.
Well, I mean, so here's something. Here's something to consider, though, Cindy. What if, because people are so disgusted with Tooman and the Democrat candidate, your name is written in more than any other person, and you're elected in your position? What would you say?
I would, I would be honored, but it's not something I'm pushing for. But I know that in New York, we have multiple elections where there's been voter fraud complaints on both extremes from both parties. The difference is the Democrats are better at calling it out. I mean, Donald Trump, when he refers to New York voter fraud, talks about a Democratic congressional race in Manhattan. He's not talking about the other races that people are talking about. He's not talking about a race from the Bronx that a conservative Democrat, very well respected, Ruben Diaz, has called out, and has actually called out the Board of Elections in the Bronx.
Explain more on that. Explain more on that. About him.
I could give you all the details. I'm going to get you everything after the break. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Give you everything back. I don't want to give it off. Now everybody knows it's really live. We're not teleprompter. There's no teleprompter here. But I can also tell you it's just not New York. I'm going to flip it. I want to go before to the commercial to a positive. Everybody looks at Florida, and I want your audience to look at Florida. We had two major victories for the people in the primaries. One is Laura Loomer, and the other is Anna Paulina Luna. Both were not endorsed by the Florida GOP counties they are from. Luna was in a multi-million-dollar primary against three other people and won. Coincidentally, they were both endorsed by Matt Gaetz. And if your viewers have time, go watch the documentary, The Swamp on HBO, that Matt Gaetz is part of. And everything we discussed is laid out beautifully in that docudrama.
Yes,
and if you recognize somebody in it, let me know.
So you're saying there may be a cameo?
I didn't even know about it. Everybody kept calling me, Cindy, you're in a movie on HBO.
This is going to be awesome. So Cindy Grosz is going to be part of The Swamp with Gaetz. She is part of these. Yeah. So this is going to be exciting for those of you who hasn't seen it. If you
filmed at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C.
Wow. So when she's not coming on to Battle for Freedom, she's moonlighting in other programs and other big star movie things that we'll be paying attention and looking forward to on many more occasions. See, don't be surprised, Cindy. So if they write your name in and you are elected, are you ready to assume the position of the representative for New York State 4?
I will do what the people want me to do and anything to help our president.
Amen.
This is the most important election of our lifetime. And we also have to talk about local elections taking place between September and November that people must register for and vote in. And since our last time meeting, I started a group I'm chairing called Jewish Vote GOP. And it is a grassroots to get people to register to vote or change their registration from the Democratic to Republican Party. And I've even helped people in Israel make sure they could vote for Donald Trump. They requested from me the appropriate information, and I got it to them.
Well, Cindy, this is what we're going to do. The break is going to start, but I don't have any audio in that time. So what we'll do is let the music cut off, and we'll just keep talking through the break, and we'll go from there. And I'll let you.
good to me.
Yeah, so we have time to continue talking here. So you're saying that there's going to be this this concept or movement you're saying you have going on right now of Jews for Trump? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's called Jewish Vote GOP because when I was running for Congress, I found out that many Jews were not registered to vote, or many of them were registered Democrats because that's what they were 25, 30 years ago, and they wanted to change parties to make the statement that they know they're not welcome in the Democratic Party. So just a simple email address. People send it. We send them the appropriate information back. We are meeting congressional, local, and statewide candidates that support our issues. I know in this case, we have in Nassau County, we're going to have the county executive race. We want to come together and our vote not to be taken for granted, and also not looked at 2 weeks before an election. We want to know that we want people to know that we are around every single day, and we're watching every single move they're making. And it doesn't mean that we love everything that every Republican does.
And that's going to be key. We're about 10 seconds coming back, but no, that's good that you're starting that movement and hearing more voices who are just want to put an end to the status quo that is completely silenced. You want to talk? Welcome back to everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio. I'm glad that you are here and you're with me, and we're having a decision. It's decisioned in 2020, doing some election pre-analysis with Cindy Grosz. And the reason why we're talking about this is because of the fact that, like Cindy said, this is going to be one of the most critical elections. Everyone says it's the most critical election that's going to be out there. No, folks, we're watching things that are happening, things that you never have to worry about. Before Bush v. Gore, you didn't have to worry about potential election or voter fraud. Before 2008, before 2000, these are things you didn't have to worry about, but now it's a commonality. You're hearing, the Democrats even said it already. Donald Trump he's going to mess up the mail so people can't win the election. I think the Democrats basically said what they're going to do. And you know what? If it's going to get really bad, I want you to hunker down. I want you to be prepared for the worst case scenario. So I want you to think about getting yourself a cat cooler. When the world is going to hell in a handbasket, you need rugged. You need strong. You need durable. You need cat coolers. These are the best coolers on the market in 27, 55, and 88 quart. Go to catcoolers.com and give them the code Watson to save 10% on your purchase. Don't settle for those substandard containers that melt, leak, and destroy your memorable moments. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you. Cat Coolers. Not only cat coolers, I want you to see it. There's another one I want you to consider, and that is, where is it? There it is. Patriot Energy. I want to go and share with you on this one, Patriot Energy. Are your energy bills getting out of hand and you want to unplug from the grid? Consider Patriot Energy, a local veteran-owned solar company. You need honesty, integrity, and clarity. These markers are essential in the ever-growing solar industry. Call 602-721-6717 for a free quote. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio sent you. That number is 602-721-6717. Call Patriot Energy today. So as we sit here and we talk about decisioned in 2020, I want to tell you why I put it like that. The reason why I said decisioned in 2020 is because of the fact that you have the cheaters. This is going to be a critical election. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016, but honestly, there's nothing telling me right now why I shouldn't vote for him. Every argument used by the Democrat is every reason why I say, bull. I don't trust you. You have not proven to me that you're someone worth listening to and trusting. You have not proven that you have leadership that care. You say that you're the party for you're the working people's party, but you've done everything that you can to put people out of work. You've created more and more unemployment by your stalling and basically your obstruction to the President of the United States getting America back on track. Even though the Dow dropped down to 10,000 points, 11 to almost 12,000 points because of COVID-19, we're near 1,000 points away from the high that was established back in January, February of this year before COVID-19 hit. And as people are wanting to get back together, as schools are wanting to get back, but you want people to ruin the streets, but you don't want people to feel comfortable. Think about this, Cindy. If they continue to allow the violence to take place, and now some Democrats are now starting to speak up. In Denver, the mayors, they're not happy with what's going on. They're like, stop this Black Lives Matter nonsense, because this isn't about Black Lives Matter anymore. This is about wanting, and think about the convenience of another shooting this past weekend, Cindy, to reignite black people being angry again, to reignite more violence, to reignite more destruction. Because as long as the cities are burning, and I bet you mailboxes will be burning in the process too, so that they can affect this. They'll say that it's the Republicans who are doing this, but it's their agents of hell and destruction doing this, Cindy. What is your opinion on that?
Okay, before we went to the break, we were discussing about a race in the Bronx, a Democratic race. Carmen Arroyo, and I hope I'm saying her name right, has been reelected by the people but rejected by the Board of Elections. You should know that the Honorable Carmen Arroyo, the first Puerto Rican woman elected to the New York State Assembly, was reelected, obtaining the majority of the vote. However, she will not be able to return to the Assembly due to the regulations of the New York Board of Elections and the law. It's not about like the presidential race where we have an electoral vote and the people's vote. This is different. This is where the Board of Elections has rules, and they claim they're non-biased because there's one commissioner from the Democrats and one from the Republicans. However, those jobs are paid jobs, and there's a lot of questions about some of the people who work at the Board of Elections. And if you research more of this, Councilman Diaz, highly respected as one of the major leaders in the 5 boroughs in the Hispanic community, has pointed out that because of how the ballots were eliminated or disqualified, she will not be going back to Albany. And now this week we found out that over 500,000 mail-in ballots were rejected in the primaries. We have to question if this system is really cohesive to fair voting.
Hold on a second here. Did you just say 500,000?
I believe that's what was, not in this race, but it was reported what's been going on in the primaries.
500,000 votes. Do you realize even 1,000 votes, even 10,000 votes can make the difference in an election? That's some kind of counting that you sit here and you're counting into 2022 with 1,000 or 10,000 votes, but 500,000 votes. that we're missing this stuff. Understand this. This is not what, see, and again, you're allowing a lot of other distractions to go on right now because they don't want you to understand what we should be concerned about. And when I heard, again, I love my male people. I appreciate my male people. But when they said $69 billion was lost in 11 years, that kind of concerned me. I
don't know if people remember, and this is not against the post office. When FedEx started in the 80s, people started talking about diminishing the powers of the States Postal Service because they were not able to deliver at the same rate as FedEx. So there was a lot of questions about it.
Yes, there was a lot of questions about it. And, and again, like you said, the level of service diminishing, not getting things out. I've seen some improvements for myself, Cindy. But you know what? Again, I'm in little old Indiana and you're out there in big old New York, the city that never sleeps. So this is going to be very interesting as we're watching this thing unfold. This is going to be very interesting as we're watching this thing unfold, as there are major concerns about what this election is going to look like. But I strongly believe, I've been hearing this from friends. I've been hearing this from friends who have Democrat friends and family members who are saying they're voting for Trump. They're tired. They're tired of the nonsense, and they are going to vote for Trump because of the fact that they do not want, they're disgusted with the Democrat leadership that they're watching right now. And I'm hoping if this is what we're seeing here in Indiana, that we're also going to start seeing it in New York, in San Francisco. Yeah, I was just watching. There was another video yesterday of another guy, and literally, this guy looked like he could have been a liberal progressive Democrat who lives in San Francisco, and he's arguing with people, and he's saying, "Why are we bending over backwards to take care of illegal aliens, but we're doing nothing for our American citizens who are sleeping on, who are on the street here in San Francisco? We're doing absolutely nothing." But again, isn't that the xenophobic language that the President of the United States was accused of using and talking about there being a language that shouldn't be brought in on this thing? What do you think, Cindy?
Well, you're talking to the choir. I think it's better off. We should listen to the voices of the Democrats. Remember the video of Obama saying the same exact thing. So
wait. No, Obama didn't say anything like that. He was such an eloquent speaker, and he was such a uniter.
He was talking about. He actually. I've seen the video when he was president. Not about opening the borders to everybody.
Yeah, no, I do remember that.
But more importantly, we have to talk about. We all agree that President Trump is going to win, and there's going to be a big silent majority coming out to vote for him. But what are we going to do to make sure that we keep the House? We flip the House. We maintain the Senate. And that we get people to register to vote as Republicans so that they can vote in primaries. That is key. Those are the steps. Because this is the most important election of our lifetime. We will never see another candidate like President Trump. All the names they're talking about in 2024, whether or not it's Ted Cruz, Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, these are all politicians who've held multiple offices and have received a government paycheck for years.
What do you think of Tim Scott running?
This is not Donald Trump, who doesn't take a paycheck.
Yeah, so...
He donates a paycheck.
He donates a paycheck. So what do you think of a Tim Scott running in 2024 or 2028? He's stepping down, right? I think that
right now he's hot and it's great. I do think that there's going to be another 16, 17. It's going to be an open year. It's going to be a lot of candidates on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be pretty.
And I also think, 6 months ago, everybody said Ron DeSantis was the leader. I think we have to see what's going to happen in October, November, what's going to happen in 2022 in the midterm elections before we could really make any kind of judgment.
Huh. Now I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued with this because the fact that I want to see how this is going to work itself out here. And like you said, Donald Trump is definitely a unique brand of all the candidates that we have had. And honestly, you know what? Donald Trump is successfully draining the swamp right before our eyes. As we sit here...
No, he's not. Well, I'm telling you, he's not. Because there's still too many Republicans that are surrounding, I could tell you, I know that I will not tell you who, that there are people who are actually delegates in North Carolina that are not working for Trump.
But, I mean, as you sit here and you watch this, okay, from that aspect, okay, yeah, you're correct. He's not completely draining the swamp, but here's the reason. This is my aspect or my view from this here, is that more and more people are seeing things about politics that they never saw before. Donald Trump has angered and shown and made people force their hands that the pleasantries that they've hidden behind for so long, Cindy, the pleasantries that they've had, oh, I'm reformed, I'm very loving, I'm very caring. No, the American people just watched Democrats spend the last 3-4 years attacking the president, trying to get him impeached, Russian collusion, Ukrainian, power, rigging and everything like that. And all now they're blaming COVID on him. And most American citizens, the ones with intelligence who aren't going to die because they know how to take care of themselves, I believe a lot of them, their eyes have been opened. Now, there's still a large group of intellectuals who are so bought into the deception that they won't wake up. But I believe that there has been a great distaste that's been put in the mouths and the minds and the hearts of lots of Americans of what they've been watching with American politics for the last 4 years. American politics has always been ugly, but what I've watched in the last 4 years, if anything, the Democrats solidified my choice to never consider I never considered. No, there's a couple of times I've considered a Democrat candidate, not for president, but I'm like, okay, yeah, you do your job well and where you are, but if you don't have more people of principle stepping up saying you've got to put an end to this, Cindy, your party is done, is gone. And I'm hoping that we'll start seeing the culmination within the next couple of years. You're saying wait till the midterms. It could be the midterms, Cindy, that we could be looking at the advent of a larger wave, a second Tea Party-like wave of people who are tired of what they see in American politics. Yeah. And where, if you were going to pick a state, where do you think that battleground would actually begin?
Oh, it's always Florida, and I just gave you the best example. And if you go down to Florida, I will tell you that I'm working with Laura Loomer. I don't agree with everything she says, but I understand where she is, and she will be the type of voice Republicans need that would actually call out the squad, not sit there quietly. She's the type of person that would be the voice with Jim Jordan. So I will tell you in Florida, it's going to be very interesting to see how the state GOP committees come together, how the Trump super PACs start embracing people like Anna Paulina and Laura Loomer. The people have spoken. They both won their primaries overwhelmingly.
Yes.
So I think Florida is going to be important. I think the next city that's also going to be very important is Baltimore. Is Kimberly Klacik going to be the first Black Republican in that area?
You want to talk about someone on fire. Yeah. Okay, who is the third place?
The third state, Michigan. John James running for senator.
Yes.
And we don't even hear much about him.
No, we don't. And that's the part that's really insane, is because of the fact that you want to know why we don't hear enough about him is because of the fact that he makes sense. And honestly, a person like him who has a leadership, who has a strength, who has a capability of moving things is not, because of the fact that, again, most Black people tend to lean towards Black individuals. Many Americans not racist. There's no way that Barack Obama would ever be president of the United States of America if the majority of Americans who are white did not vote for Barack Obama. It wasn't the black vote that made Barack Obama president of the United States of America. It was the white vote that made Barack Obama president of the United States of America. And the John James, there's something interesting about him and Klacik out of Baltimore. You're right. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about that.
And there's a third person who's also Black.
Who's that?
And that's going to be Alan West taking over as the Texas State Chair for the Republican Party.
Who is this again?
Alan West.
Oh.
Alan West is a go-getter. He is not afraid to speak out. And he is not afraid to use his military history as a force, because, like he's always talked about his past overseas. If he is a veteran, a family man, a father of daughters, he represents a lot of what the Black values of the people I know, like you and I, share. And with the state that's talking with Beto O'Rourke and just getting rid of all the guns, I think he's going to have a lot to say in that state. I think I lost your audio.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you're right. I think this is going to be, you know what? This is going to be a change. This is going to be a huge development if we move to the point where more and more minorities, and it's just not minorities. I'm sorry. We've got to get beyond this. I'm glad that there are Blacks who are running and have a head on their shoulders, and that they can basically present an argument and an idea and a concept that can actually work for us. But I want to see, it's not just the color of the skin. I want Blacks, I want whites, I want male, female, I want Christians, I want Jewish, the Hebrew people, Indian people, Mexican people. It doesn't matter. If you're people of quality, if you're people of substance, if you're people of character, and you're tired of watching our government abuse their position, people who are elected and who did not do what they were saying, understand this. Hate Donald Trump all you want. Hate his Twitter account all you want. Hate some of the things that he says on a time and time basis. But understand this more important than anything else. Almost everything that Donald Trump said he would do has been done. Period. You have to go with the results. Period. You hate him all you want, but he achieved results. The media will do everything that they can to basically say, oh, well, he didn't. No. Was he fancy in the way that he do it? Did he go as a bull in a china shop? Well, maybe some of the precious china needed to be destroyed so we can make a pathway to success for things that needed to happen. But make no mistake,
I agree with you.
Democrats offered nothing last week. They offered nothing but platitudes and negativity. And the president has been producing left and right. And understand this too. Him pardoning that guy the other day, this wasn't about winning the black vote. It was about him consistently doing what he already was doing. He was already letting black people out of jail. He was already pardoning blacks and a wide variety of people. And even that right there done more on freeing blacks than Obama has done. And you know what Obama did for prison reform? He just made it the sentences lighter. He didn't get them out of jail. He made the sentences lighter for black people. Donald Trump actually freed black people. Sorry, I'll let you go.
What
Cindy.
about the job growth?
Job growth.
How can we compare that? Look at the Hispanic. You know what? You don't see enough of Latinos with Trump on the podium talking. But I can tell you, the Latinos are really coming out strong for Trump. Because the ones that are here legally are really upset about those coming over the border illegally. Because I hear it from them.
And it's gonna, and you know what, Cindy? Their voice is gonna get louder. They're getting tired, Cindy. All their hard work. Dominic he comes on 7 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Standard Time, and he was a retired police officer, and he sat there and he worked in the community. He watched the black community. He watched the Hispanic community, and he was like, "Yeah, these people are hardworking. They're busting their butts. They want to have success in this country and in being an American citizen, and they don't like losing so much to the illegals coming across the border. It's not that they don't want them to have a chance. They just want them to basically do it the same way that they did it. And that's all they're asking for. And honestly,
I'll give you a great example. That's in the news today in New York. De Blasio is talking about closing restaurants, and there's no indoor dining in New York City. But you're allowed to do indoor dining in schools to feed the poor, illegal immigrant children. And people are talking about if somebody could pay for a meal, they can't go eat it inside. But children in the school system have to get fed. They don't care about the guns in the school. They don't care about the violence that's been going on that Andrew Pollack spoke so beautifully about the other night and that I've discussed multiple times. They don't care that there are mandated reporters in schools that are not reporting neglect and abuse at home because it affects the school rating, which could actually seriously harm a child. And we've seen deaths of young minority children with schools knew about issues. You don't see discussions enough about the teachers getting beaten up by students and getting no support from the teachers union. But we have to feed undocumented children food. Not to mention the fact that there are other places that they get food. There are so many food banks now, welfare programs, church programs that give out food. I know the dogs. So there is such a double standard on who's allowed to eat in restaurants or in closed buildings and who's not.
we have to start seeing a change here. And you know what? Things are going to be exposed. People can't argue about this anymore, Cindy. It is so...
It can only be exposed, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If people want it to be exposed.
That's
and
true.
If people want to learn. The biggest problem I have, even like we put on a simple Facebook post, I put on a community Facebook page an event I'm running for the Jewish Vote GOP. The Democrats attack like crazy, delete, contact administrators, and we have our little Republican cat here, King Kylie. Baby. And I wrote back on it. I said, I don't tell them when they have the Democratic candidate or the Democratic politicians that I attack right away. Why are they so rude? Because there are many people that signed up for the event from my community, from that Facebook page. Why are Democrats so angry? Why are Democrats so resistant to an open discussion? And why are so many people more concerned about stupidities? I see some of the dopiest Instagram pages that people spend days and hobbies on, but they don't care about who are the elected officials for their local school boards, their local judges.
Well,
They don't even know who's the person to call if there is a street concrete breaking on the street that someone can call and they get sued for.
well, folks, Cindy is asking the right questions, and we're about to close this program out. Think on those questions she just asked you. I'm your host, Watson Prunier with Battle for Freedom. We will talk to you guys next week. Everyone, take care and have a great day.
Bye-bye.